listeners and viewers. Your e-learning partner, VIP Studios, has for today relocated to the serenity of the wonderful Sunshine Secondary School in Nairobi, where we shall do the analysis of A Doll's House, a KCSE set book written by Henrik Ibsen. We are honored to have Mr. Wafula.
Hello, viewers.
And Mr. Norah.
Hello, viewers.
Who will take us through the analysis. They are both teachers with wide experience in English literature, and they are currently teaching in this wonderful school. Elijah and Alawi, who are students in the same school, will also walk with us to appreciate the book.
Hello, viewers.
Hello, viewers.
I am David Carrero, and as usual, I will be your program director. Welcome. Mr. Wafula, kindly open the curtains.
Okay, A Doll's House, a text written by Henrik Ibsen, is a relevant text as it addresses issues that are witnessed in the contemporary society. Remember, Henrik Ibsen is a prolific writer who also did An Enemy of the People that was also done in the 844 system. One of the major concerns of the text is the challenges that women go through in a male-dominated society, and this is well manifested in the character of Norah, the wife of Helmer, Torvald. So we are going to enjoy or appreciate all these in our analysis that will be done scene after scene. Now, I will welcome Mr. Norah to take us through the summary of the first scene in Act 1 of A Doll's House.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wafula. The text starts with Act 1, and it opens on a Christmas preparation, the episode 1. The play opens on the day before Christmas, that is Christmas Eve. And Norah returns home from shopping, although her husband is anticipating a promotion and a raise at work. He still chides her excessive spending, despite all that. In response, Norah flirts, pouts, and cajoles her husband, as a child might, and indeed Torvald addresses her as he might a child. He treats her and talks to her the way someone talks to a child. He hands her money, but only after having berating her spending. Their relationship parallels that of a daughter and father, and indeed is exactly like a relationship Norah had with her father, as we get to learn later in the text. Early in this act, the audience is aware that the relationship between the Helmers is based on dishonesty, when Norah denies that she has eaten macaroons, knowing that her husband has forbidden her to do so. The conversation is interrupted by the maid announcing two visitors, Dr. Rang, who is a friend of the Helmers, and Mrs. Christine Lind, a friend of Norah's, who has dropped in out of the blue after an absence of about 10 years. Dr. Rang joins Helmer in the study, while Norah and Christine catch up on each other's lives.
Now, thank you. I want us to look at the themes, the styles, and the traits of the characters introduced so far. And I want us maybe to begin with the themes. Maybe the first one. I would request Alawi to mention something about Norah on page 1.
On the first page of the text, just as the story starts, we get to see that the house that Torvald, Helmer, and Norah lived in was tastefully furnished. That means that Norah and Torvald lived comfortably and were well off. And Norah is seen giving a shilling to the porter, and he instructs the porter to keep the change. This indicates that Norah is a generous person. As she enters inside the house, she is found taking macarons from her pockets and eats one or two, and then she hums. This shows that, and if you go on, you'll find that Norah had been banned from taking the macarons. This indicates that Nora was finding joy in defying the husband.
I would like to add that when you see that Nora is taking the macaroons, it seems that she's deceitful. The deceitful nature is that she's going against the wishes of her husband, who indeed had forbidden her from taking macaroons since she was highly addicted to them. And through this, when she takes it without the consent of her husband, she is going against his wish, and this is creating dishonesty among the family members.
Helmer, on the other side, has been portrayed as a demeaning chauvinist. He refers to his wife, Torvald, the way a father treats his child. He calls her using pet names such as my little squirrel, my skylark. And he goes on adding that taking the issue of taking a date and being a spendthrift is a womanly nature. And thus it's a normal behavior for all humans. It can be a characteristic trait of any person, male or female, because Nora has executed those actions. Helmer refers to those actions as womanly-like. In spite of them being in marriage and being thought to be in love, Nora and Helmer's marriage lack honesty. The two do not trust each other.
Still on that first episode about the Christmas preparation, Nora is portrayed as a spendthrift lady who extravagantly spends on Christmas preparations without caring about the New Year's challenge. She will not mind borrowing just for Christmas and struggle paying later. Helmer, on the other hand, is a chauvinist who treats his wife as a doll. Like Alawi has said, he calls her skylark, squirrel, and he has burned macaroons in this house. But Nora defies him and eats some. And this, besides the prevalent male dominance, points to the marital challenges the family experiences. And he provides for his family substantively. Nora's defiance, on the other hand, can be seen as a way of liberating herself from male chauvinism, from male dominance. Helmer, if you look on page 3, he says that there can be no freedom or beauty about a home that depends on borrowing and debt. So he doesn't believe that one can have freedom when they have a debt. And this is where the mistrust begins, because Nora, at some point later in the text, we find that she borrows money and it becomes their problem, their downfall as a family.
Okay, just to add to what Mwalimu was given in the commentary, we realize that the first scene has already set the ball rolling with the main characters introduced and the main issues also introduced. We can actually make a conclusion about the character traits and the themes that are going to be evident in the text. When you look at page 6, for instance, on the issue of extravagance and Nora being a spendthrift, Helmer says, you can't deny it, my dear little Nora. It's a sweet little spendthrift, but she uses up a deal of money. One would hardly believe how expensive such little persons are, and that is referring to Nora. And this does not only bring out the character of Nora as being extravagant, but one can see that Helmer is being chauvinistic in a way, referring to the wife as little person and spending a lot of money. Just like our student Alawi said, the marriage is founded on falsehood and dishonesty. And that is an issue that has already been introduced. I don't know, my colleague Mr. Norah will agree with me. The author is trying to foreground the issues that we are going to see in the text. So as we move on to scene 2 of Act 1, we will keep meeting these issues that have been introduced.
While we are still in Act 1, we get to see that Nora is being described to be much like her father. This is seen by when Helmer is saying that you're very like your father, and every time she had to find a new way where she could get money out of Torvald. And we are seeing that she does not know how to keep the money that she's given by Helmer, because Helmer is describing her that every time he gives her money, Nora always finds a way that all of it ends in just a quick second. So we can say that Nora does not know how to save the money.
Dear viewers, we shall now go to episode 2, where we see Christine's Linde's visit.
Nora is visited by an old friend, Mrs. Lind. She tells Nora that she had some problems and she's seeking unemployment. We learn that her husband had died and left her with neither a child, no inheritance, nothing. She's seen as a dejected and a hopeless woman, and Nora does not seem to empathize with with Christine. Instead, she goes ahead and boasts about the achievements of her husband and her own achievements, that, she has a husband, beautiful children, and that even her husband has been promoted to become a bank manager. So she asserts that they are not going to struggle for essentials of life. Nora confesses to Mrs. Lind that she too has been desperate and recounts that she had been forced to borrow money several years earlier when her husband was ill. The money was necessary to finance a trip that saved her husband's life, but Nora, we understand that she forges her father's signature to secure the loan and lied to Torvald that her father had given them the money. Thus, she has been deceiving her husband for years as she worked to repay the loan. She tells this story to Mrs. Lind to demonstrate that she is an adult who is capable of both caring for her family and conducting business. Outwardly, Mrs. Lind is everything that Nora is not. They are two characters who are parallel. On one hand, Nora is childless, jobless, husbandless, and on this other hand, Nora has a husband, has children, she's living a life of her dreams, so to say. Mrs. Lind must struggle to make ends meet. Nevertheless, she faces her plight with a sense of courage. And at some point, their conversation is interrupted by Dr. Rang.
In this episode, we see again another character introduced, Mrs. Lind, an old friend. And on arrival, we realize that Nora has another character again. She is inconsiderate, proud, insensitive, and non-empathetic. She doesn't seem to sympathize with the poor situation that Miss Lind is suffering. We see her talk so much about herself, and that one renders her selfish.
From the second episode of the first act, we find out that the dominant theme is the challenges the women undergo secretly. On the side of Nora, as you can see on the 12th page, it says, Nora had to do odds and ends. Those are small and invaluable jobs, needlework, crochet work, and embroidery. All this had to be done behind Torvald's back so the loan could be paid. And Mrs. Lind, on the other side, she opened a small shop, a small school, after her business went down. All this was to look after the siblings, to help the mother who was bedridden, and she had also gone to the extent of getting into a loveless marriage so she could be able to support her family.
Adding to what my fellow student has said and what the chairs have said, I would like to say that we learn that Miss Lind loves the worldly things, because we see that she left one marriage to go to another just because she wanted to have some money which could able to sustain her and also carry her throughout the life. And when her husband dies, she goes back to visit Miss Nora, who is in the city. We also learn that Nora is also, although she does not care, she does not empathizes with Miss Lynn, we learn that she's selfless, because we learn that from page 13, she tells Miss Lynn that she also had to make sacrifices, such as during the time when Helmer was sick, she was expecting Iva, we learn one of her children, sorry.
In episode 3, we see Dr. Rank visit the Helmer's family. Mr. Wafula, take us through.
Episode 3, we can title it as Rank's Visit. This one opens when Krogstad comes in and he's directed to Torvald's study room. And at that time, Rank is in the room, so he gives Torvald and Krogstad time to discuss what they refer to as business matters. Then she goes to Christine and Nora. We learn something about him as he enters the room. He apologizes to them for interrupting. And from there, they catch up. He gets to know who Christine is, but he questions a few things about Christine, as he says that she might take his place, I don't know, later on when he's gone. And from their conversation too, we see that Rank rather sees Christine as a character who has come to town to enjoy the amusements that the town offers, but on the contrary, we know that she's there to seek for a job.
Dr. Rank claims that Krogstad suffers from a diseased moral character, to mean that he is morally dead, meaning that he is corrupt and that he is he's not a moral person in the society. And one major issue which is highlighted in this episode is hypocrisy and dishonesty. In Nora's actions and Rank's words, we can get all that. She lies that Christine gave her macaroons. Nora lies that